All right, guys, we are back once again with some big LEC offseason news. Obviously, the LEC offseason has been advancing very nicely with a lot of these rosters coming together, some big moves going down, all of that good stuff. But there has been one team that has been leaving us hanging a little bit in regards of the information and what the heck's going on for next season. But don't you guys worry, Wooloo is joining us here today with the latest news about Fnatic, because it seems like there's some stuff going on here. So, Wooloo, what is the latest? What's going on today with Fnatic?
Yeah, so Fnatic have been finalizing their roster this week, and this weekend they have sent an offer to Upset in the ADC position, and Upset has accepted the offer. So Upset will return to Fnatic next year. He was a free agent. He was the only player who was a free agent on Fnatic this off-season, meaning that his contract was running to an end, and he has now agreed on a new deal with Fnatic, and he will play again for the team next year.
Yeah, so obviously this is a pretty big, kind of news here, and maybe something that people will be a little bit surprised by because obviously Upset was a free agent, like you said. I'm sure Fnatic had different possibilities and options, and I think at different points people were maybe even expecting a new AD carry to be coming in for Fnatic. So what did this AD carry situation throughout this offseason look like for Fnatic? Was Upset always the guy? Were there other possibilities? What was the AD carry search like for them?
Honestly, even before the off-season, it was somewhat expected that Upset would resign with Fnatic, and I believe that's why Upset also waited for Fnatic the entire off-season. I think he knew that he had good chances to resign with the team, but it depended on a lot of factors, you know. One factor was that at the start of the off-season, I expected Razork to change teams and Upset to likely re-sign, but Fnatic couldn't send Razork to another team, which means that he's likely staying at Fnatic. It's not defined yet exactly if he will be the starter or not, but he's likely going to be the jungler. And at the beginning of the off-season, there was an idea to not have Razork and Upset on the same team, but since then, Razork and Upset have agreed that they are okay with playing together. So that's one thing that changed. I don't know like exactly like the relationship they have and why it changed, you know, and how Fnatic relates to it in details. But what I can know from my sources is that they can both be on the roster now. Did Fnatic consider other AD carries? Yes. A strong consideration was Exakick, now just called Exa, because he had a very strong year in the ERLs. He just won EMEA Masters. He also had considerations from Fnatic a few years ago, before they locked Reckless. That was when they had Rux as support. This off-season, Exakick had interest from a lot of teams. He was the second option for Team Heretics, who picked Ice. He was also considered by SK Gaming until they built a Mikix project and chose Yopa after the tryouts. So Exakick was very active this off-season with LEC teams. His last option was Fnatic, but it fell down. He will not be in LEC, and Fnatic chose to pick Upset instead. If it was not Upset, it would have likely been Exakick, but yeah, now he will not be in LEC, and Upset is staying with the team.
Yeah, and then I know you said that this was kind of expected, like maybe Fnatic was expecting to get this done, Upset was kind of expecting to get this done, but like you said, Upset was a free agent. Was there ever any other potential options for him? You know, did Upset kind of see what his interest in the market was like? Did other teams, show interest in Upset, anything like that, or was it kind of Fnatic or bust for Upset this offseason?
It was kind of Fnatic or bust. I don't have more to add.
No, you're good. I mean, that's just what I think it's what people are going to be wondering about, obviously, because, if there was other possibilities for Fnatic, then, hey, maybe there's other possibilities for Upset as well, because we hadn't really heard, a lot about that this offseason. And I'm sure Fnatic fans will be a little bit, curious or wondering what the heck happened this offseason, too, because, like we had previously talked about, there was worlds where maybe Razork was not going to be the jungler, maybe where Upset wasn't going to be the AD carry. And I know a lot of Fnatic fans are kind of getting impatient with their results over the past couple of years. So to me, it's just kind of interesting interesting that, yeah, they're ending up back with Razork potentially, and now they're ending up back with Upset. I think people were maybe expecting a little bit more changes to Fnatic this offseason than maybe we're ending up with. They did make some changes, and there's some exciting stuff going on, but I think fans were maybe even expecting a little bit more in that regard too.
Yeah, I mean, even Fnatic maybe expected more because they really went into this offseason with like a complete rebuild in mind. And for a long time, it looks like uh, one player would stay, either Razork or Upset. Maybe Bobby if they couldn't get Vladdy, but they did get Vladdy, so that's one great signing for Fnatic. They did get Empiros into top lane. They did get Lospa. So I think it's the first time in a while that we see that many changes in Fnatic, but they will keep two players from this year. I'm very curious still how they will mesh together. But honestly, I think that Fnatic is not unhappy with keeping Upset and Razork. I feel like they wanted really to change top lane and support positions the most, which they have done. But we'll have to see if it's enough enough changes to give a new fresh start to Fnatic and to Fnatic fans as well.
Yeah, and then I think maybe the last question that people will have about this stuff too is about that bot lane specifically, because bot lane synergies are always a big question and stuff like that. Like, did the bot lane synergies, come into mind at all here? I know obviously if they were, thinking that Upset was likely going to be back, like was there considerations with how well Lospa was going to pair up with Upset? Was Upset, kind of involved in those recruitment or discussions or anything like that at all? Like do we know if this is a good bot lane pairing that they had dreamed up or anything like that?
Honestly, the dream bot lane of Fnatic was June with Upset. That's what they wanted as bot lane. They really wanted June and pair him with Upset. I know Upset would have been to ADC should June have joined, but yeah, that's been a long story this off-season, with Fnatic first discussing a trade with Razork, then multiple times attempting to buy June, even though it's his last year, next year in LEC. They even made an offer to Giantix up to close to 200,000 euros. Giantix rejected that offer, couldn't find a satisfying replacement for June. Even though June, this week on Wednesday, he asked Giantix if he could join Fnatic, but he will not. So that's the difficult news of Fnatic this off-season. And sorry, I got a bit off topic, but regarding Lospa and Upset specifically, I don't know if Fnatic had this as special pairing in mind. I know that Piero was actually also likely to join alongside Upset. I mean, generally when you build a roster, you would ask Upset, hey, would you play with this support? So I would be surprised if they didn't, but I don't have much more information on this topic.
Yeah, sounds good. But we've gotten, plenty of good info out of all of this. And, like I already said, we have been, wrapping up most of the LEC offseason. It seems like most of the rosters are coming together really, really well.
Yeah.
Some teams we're more excited about than others for sure, but we're at least getting closer and closer to putting this whole puzzle piece together. So it's just cool to get another, player locked in for 2026, another roster a little bit closer to completed, even if, Fnatic's not all the way done yet, but it seems like we're definitely trending in that direction. So I did want to thank you once again for hopping on and giving us all that latest info. I'm sure Fnatic fans are, going to be excited to hear at least more information about what 2026 is going to look like. So yeah, thank you again for joining us. And yeah, guys, as always, stay tuned for plenty more from Sheeb Esports all over the place.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you, Jerm.